Good afternoon, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy, and happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash. This is episode 153, and today thought I'd do something fun. We're going back to the original Conan series, and we're going to go with a non-Roy Thomas written book to show you how other people have written Conan, and you can give your opinion whether it works, it doesn't work. But this is from none other, issue 117, written by Larry Hama, who is most famous, of course, for G.I. Joe, even though he's written many things over the years. But his name is always synonymous with G.I. Joe. He made that original series what it was, and it is his biggest claim to fame. But how did he do with an issue of Conan the Barbarian? Well, we're about to find out. I think he did a fine job. What your opinion is, well, you can let me know in the comments below when the video's done. But again, Conan the Barbarian in the lair of Mullah Qajar, and written by Larry Hama. Pencils by John Buscema with inks by Ernie Chan. My favorite art duo on Conan the Barbarian ever, bar none. All right, as our tale begins, and of course, you know, I'll do my thing. The corridor of Mullah Qajar. A soft night wind blows out of the desert and waves through the streets of Zamboula. It is the same wind that cooled the brows of the Kushite and Shemitish slaves who built Zamboula for the Stygians. The same wind that rippled the silken banners of the Turanian legions when they captured the Stygian city and installed one of their people as a puppet ruler. The same wind that carried the warm smell of fresh blood on the night in the Turanian satrap was overthrown and forced into exile by the religious zealots led by Mullah Qajar, the high priest of Hanuman. All right, so there is our opening page. And look at that. Fantastic opening shot there. As our tale continues. Tonight, the wind whispers warily past the steep stepped sides of the ziggurat of Hanuman, and flits fitfully through the haunted maze that guards the only entrance to the forbidding pile. At the outer door of the maze, the wind dies as quietly and unnoticed by the sleeping citizenry, as did an entire company of temple guards. And then we go to an outside shot of this maze and some guards talking on the inside. It says, "I tell you, there's something out there walking through the maze." The other guard says, "Of course there is. Nameless things conjured up by Mullah Qajar to devour the infidels." To which the other guard replies back, "No, the things you speak of slither and crawl and scale bellies. There is an intruder in the maze that walks on two legs." And the other guy says, "Bah, it's just the wind playing tricks." We go to the next shot on the next page. It's the interior of the two guards talking. And this is just a back and forth. It says, "If an infidel intruder has penetrated the maze, it is our duty to notify the Mullah Qajar." To which the other guard says, "Disturb the Mullah? He's got bigger problems to worry about with the Turanians rattling their sabers over the blue-blooded captives we've got upstairs, and refusing to give us back the satrap so they can impale him good and proper. I've heard it might even mean war." To which the other guard replies, "A, the satrap may have fled into Turan, but we will still hold the Turanian ambassador and his wife. Either the satrap is returned to Zamboula, or the hostages will die." And the one guard is still looking nervous. He's pointing outside the door as he's listening there. He goes, "Might this not be the Turanians come to steal our captives back?" To which the guard that's reclining back in a chair, feet against the table, says, "Don't be daft. They know their ambassador is safe so long as the Mullah hopes to trade him for the satrap." To the other guard replies, Rumor has it that the satrap was injured as he fled. What if he has died? Then there will be no trade." The other guard answers back, "You've got a point there, lad. With the satrap dead, they'd have no choice but to send in a raiding party." And then he finally gets up and goes, "What say we pull the bolts and have a little look-see?" And the guard that's been nervous says, "Unbolt the door? What are the maze guardians? They'll..." And there we go. So, good little setup. We got a couple nervous guards that are guarding the entrance to this maze. The maze of Mullah Qajar. And they're guarding some hostages they have in there. The political intrigue is there. So as we turn the page, the one guard points to a sigil above the door. It says, "O ye of little faith, yon sigil carved by Mullah Qajar himself contains the demons within the maze. Those gibbering things out there can't cross a threshold, thus magically inscribed." And so he cracks the door open. He goes, "And nothing civilized can walk through what's out there and stay sane. Darker than the pit out there. Fetch me a torch, will you?" To which the cowardly guard says, "Hey." And there's this something moving out there. Looks like, and then a big fist and forearm comes forward and grabs the guard by the neck. "You were right, dog." And he breaks the guard's neck and sends him down. He goes, "Nothing civilized could survive that maze." And the cowardly guard's on his way over just to get a sword in the gut. He goes, "But I never claimed to be civilized. For by Crom, I was born a barbarian." So get that little page there. I think we all know what's happening on the next page. So you see Conan enter this little guard station. It says, "And as long as I can still wield a fistful of honed Harkanian steel, I'll die a barbarian." And Conan's going up these stairs in the maze. He says, "Had it been 20 Sumerians instead of 20 Turanians that followed me into that maze, maybe one or two would have survived. This mage Qajar is no mere conjurer, and I would welcome some friendly swords at my back when I face him down. Crom's teeth, had I known there were only 2 guards at the inner door, I would have kept one comparatively whole to lead me to the hostages. Now I'll have to wring it out of yon censer-wielding acolyte." As Conan is approaching up the steps, there's a wide open area, and there's an acolyte swinging a censer. Conan speaks loudly and throws his torch. He goes, "Ho, priestling, my temper is short. You're hostages, or I'll send you to your filthy monkey god with a yard of steel in your gut." And the acolytes just ignore him. And Conan cuts the censer. Says, "By Crom, listen when I threaten you." And then he grabs the acolyte's robes and tears them off, and there's a woman beneath it. He goes, "Show me how many poison daggers have you under the mother of Ishtar. It's no wonder the Mullah Qajar is such a popular leader. If the rest of his priesthood are as winsome as you, wench." And she's got this really mean look on her face. She just goes, "Blaspheming infidel. How dare you profane the sacred temple of Hanuman with your execrable presence? Gaze into my eyes, barbarian. Therein lies Hanuman's punishment. For I have been placed here to be the clear, bright mirror of your soul." And we'll go into this and show you a little more. You, of course, been looking at it, but I love lifting up the comic and showing the pages, so we will. Of course, John Buscema always drawn some Sophia Loren-looking women. All right, so next page, you have Conan looking at her, and you have her word bubble. It's like, "And that which I reflect can only drive you mad." And Conan says, "I see nothing, girl, nothing, nothing." And then his eyes close against his will. He goes, against his will, the barbarian's eyes close. And when they reopen, so he's in this long tunnel, and it's nothing but doors on either side. It says, "The witch hasn't sorcered me or mesmerized me. Either way, I'll probably have to twist her pretty little neck to break the spell." Next panel, Conan's just opening doors. He goes, "No use running, girl. I'll cut Sumerian girls, and they're faster than..." And she goes, "I want the ambassador and his wife returned safe to Tehran." And the door is open. Conan's seeing a scene of when he was given these orders. "And I want the head of Mullah Qajar as the centerpiece of their homecoming banquet." And Conan's like, "It's the warlord of Tehran and myself. This meeting took place weeks ago." So he's seeing things of the past. And then he sees the woman that has ensorcelled him behind the memory. And she says, "They are shadows of your memory, Conan. We who are real are nothing to them." And it goes back to the memory speaking. "Succeed in this venture, mercenary, and you shall have 10,000 pieces of gold to share with your troops. I can give you a company of the best swordsmen in Tehran." And Conan says, 20 will do. anymore, and they'll be tripping over each other. And if I'm to have the reward to myself, this will mean fewer men to kill on the way back. And then the real Conan screams out, "No, it's a lie. I never said that." And the acolyte says, "It was but the mere shadow of a dark thought that flickered through the nether regions of your mind." And Conan says, "Then it was stamped out for its vileness. I do not acknowledge it." And she says, "It was there just the same." And Conan starts chasing her as she runs. And he says, "You can't hold a man responsible for his thoughts." And she says, "No. What else is a man than the sum of his thoughts?" And another memory unfolds in front of Conan. He goes, "Crom, I know this place. The blind bards have sung the story of this battle with the veneer around every campfire in Samaria. This was the day I was." And we go there. And then as we turn the next page, "This was the day I was." And she says, "Yes, barbarian, the day you were brought forth howling into this world of pain on a frozen battlefield in a bleak land. This is no more real than the last vision," Conan says. And the acolyte says, "Nightmares are real. That's why they frighten you. Aren't real. That's why they frighten you." And it's a vision of his mother holding him on the battlefield. She goes, "My son, you're all grown up," as she looks at today's Conan. She goes, "Come, embrace your mother and give her a big kiss." And she opens her mouth and there's vampire teeth there. And Conan says, "No, stay back." She goes, "But I want to hold you in my arms." And she lunges for him. And her limbs turn into snakes. And Conan screams and she says, "Just one little hug for your old gray mother." And the horror's heating up in here as Conan's memories are being twisted to confuse him. But he is an Iron Will. So on our next page, Conan's holding the snakes that are trying to surround him. He says, "Witch, what is it you want of me? What do you expect me to do with this phantom?" And the acolyte says, "Kill her, Conan. After all, she did die and leave you all alone." And Conan replies, "No, she's not real, witch. I can't touch her." He goes, "Oh, but I can touch you." And as soon as he grabs the acolyte, everything fades away. And he goes, "And apparently that's all I needed to break your enchantment. I prefer to exercise you permanently with cold iron through your heart, but I still need your help to find the hostages." And she's like, "Spare me, barbarian, I will lead you." He goes, "To what? Some gruesome death?" As he throws her to the ground. And then he puts a strip of cloth around her eyes. He goes, "You're just buying time until you can catch my eye and bewitch me again." He goes, "A blindfold will put a stop to that." And on the next page, she's blindfolded and she's speaking. She goes, "Fool, Mullah Kajar will gnaw your liver and send your withered spirit to the lower reaches of the seven hells. You cannot harm me, nor can you evade his will. Mullah Kajar is immortal. He cannot be slain by the hand of mortal man." And Conan goes, "On that, oh, that may very well be, wench. But I'll wager good gold pieces that you are just as mortal as I am. Now tell me where the hostages are kept." "Well," and he puts the blade up to her neck. And she points to a door past him. She says, "There." And Conan drags her with him. She goes, "The door is locked. Mullah Kajar has the only key." And Conan laughs. He's like, "Keys are civilized frivolities." And he hacks the lock off with his sword. He goes, "We barbarians have a more direct way of dealing with locked doors." And there we go. Some great imagery. All right, so then we get to the next page. It says, "Come, witch, I may be a barbarian, but I'm no fool. I'll walk through no portal of your choosing without your throat in sword reach." And then he says, "Crom," as he goes in, he whispers it. The oath escapes unbidden through the Cimmerian's clenched teeth. The cancerous abominations that writhe in moist bloated ripples are loathsome, but it is not the sight alone that sears the soul of the grim mercenary. For unfettered emotions pulsing from the creatures like black blood from a gut wound wash across Conan in a wave of psychic pain, redolent with the stench of hatred, pain, and madness. Emotions amplify mystically into a tangible torrent to freeze the marrow and numb the reflexes of even the strongest of men. So he's went into where these hostages are supposed to be, and it's just these monstrosities there, these blobs with tentacles. And they're reaching for Conan, and he says, "Great Crom's manhood. These are no formless race." And as they're pulling him down, he goes, "They're real. They live." Monster, if your putrid flesh be real, then it must need yield to the sharp reality of edged iron as he wields his sword and starts cutting limbs off. He goes, and if you live, then surely you can die. And Conan's just fighting. And the story's heating up pretty quick. In the next page, these things are still grabbing Conan. He says, Crom and Ishtar, Hellspawn, you're stronger than your mate. But I am Conan, a Cimmerian. I have slain gods. I can taste your hatred like bitter bile. Fear is your sword. Pain is your buckler. And madness is the ship you flail in the blackness of your soul. But I am Conan, the angel of your succor. And I will quench your hatred. And this whole time, he's just slashing with the sword. He goes, dispel your fear. Put cease to your pain. As he puts the final blow into the brain of one of them, he goes, and cloak your madness forever with the cold mantle of death. And off to the side, the acolyte says, how droll, I find it ever so amusing, how you northern savages wax poetic, whilst you wave your swords about. And Conan says, lion slut, you push me too far. So here we go. Okay, then we go to the next page, and she says, I lied not, barbarian, nor did I have need of falsehood. For Hanuman was granted Mula Kajar the power to transmute illusion into reality. Look ye again upon the creatures thou hast slain. And when he looks back, it's the very people he was sent there to rescue. And it says, gone are the hacked and hewn carcasses of the tentacled horrors, replaced by the bodies of the Turanian ambassador and his lady wife, freshly dead, with great bleeding wounds, as if they'd been butchered with a Hyrcanian broadsword. And Conan grabs her by the wrist and says, curse you, witch, you've cost me 10,000 pieces of gold. No, there were still a way to pull this iron from the fire with some temper left to it. All right, and there we go. I'll show you that. And as we turn our page, it says, the head of this Mula Kajar should fetch me at least half the reward. So if you got any more conjuring tricks, wench, you better trot them out now. I'll not have time for amusements after I've tucked Kajar's turban holder into my saddlebag. And she says, and how will you find him in this vast ziggurat? He goes, oh, I'll find him. And then the voice changes. It says, I'm sure you will, barbarian. And when he turns around, he's not holding the woman anymore. He's now holding Mula Kajar, who was in the form of the woman and has the ribbon around his head, the cloth. He goes, I'm sure you will. And Conan says, Crom. He goes, your pale northern god answers you not, Conan of Cimmeria. His seat of power lies far away beyond Zamora, Corinthia, or shining Numidia. And we go to the next page, and he snaps his the bonds Conan has on him. He goes, Hanuman holds dominion here, and the high priest of Hanuman is Mula Kajar. Gaze into these eyes again, infidel, and face the terror that lies within you. As he rips off his blindfold, and Conan says, you assume too much, sorcerer. A barbarian doesn't face his fears like a civilized man. In this corridor you bring me to, it's not a thought of mine, but a projection of your will on my soul. And what does a barbarian know of doors? The doors are mine, Conan of Cimmeria, says Kajar, as our tale is reaching its crescendo. So he says, the doors are mine, Conan of Cimmeria. He goes, but what lies beyond the doors is wholly yours. And Conan says, I fear them not, false priest. I know these boggles well. They lurked in the dark, brooding forests of my youth, clawed at my crib as I lay mewling. In Cimmeria, the demons of childhood teach a youth the meaning of fear, and fear teaches the meaning of courage. I've slain these phantasms 1,000 times before, and I'll slay them 1,000 times again. And Kajar says, what of the specter of death? Can you slay him too? And Conan says, in Cimmeria, the specter of death is a warrior maiden with a golden spear, not a cowled priest with a Zambulan dagger. As Conan calls him out on his falsehood with the priest pretending to be death approaching him. As we turn our page, it's Kajar, and Conan's got him in his grasp as the illusions fade away. It says, you will die. Your will is strong, barbarian, but in the end I shall prevail. You may dispel dissipate my spell, for Mula Kajar cannot be slain by the hand of mortal man. And now Conan's still holding both of his wrists, and Conan says, ponder this paradox, mage. If you are not mortal, then by your own hand can you be slain? And Conan takes his dagger that's in his hand and plunges it into the guy's own chest. He goes, crumbs, devils. 10,000 pieces of gold seems too cheap a price for this weight's work. I'd better bring the warlord his centerpiece before it begins to rot. And from the ground he hears, no, Conan of Samaria, my head will not adorn a banquet table. And he has transformed himself into the vision of Red Sonja for a minute. He goes, for I am but a memory like the images that pass before you now. And Conan says, Sonja, no. And then it turns to the god Bal-Yagath. And he says, I have trod the corridors of your mind like an intruder in a haunted palace. The only existence I have is among the ghosts of your past. And then it changes again to the vision of his mother. And Conan says, demon, I'll slay you 1,000 times. And then it goes finally back to him who's rotting. He's a skeleton now. He says, slay me. Soon I shall be less than the dust of moldering Atlantis. And how can you slay a memory? As the guy fades to dust. And then it says, somewhere at the end of space and time, on a corridor without end, doors without numbers slam shut, and the visions are gone. And Conan is just standing there with nothing to take back with him and no reward to reap as our tale ends. So that was a tale by Larry Hama with art by John Buscema, inks by Ernie Chan. And I think it's a well-told tale by Hama. I like that he understands that Conan's no fool, and he treats him with the brains that Conan has, that people who write Conan that understand the character know. But let me know what you thought of this tale. It was a quick, fast-paced tale. It speeds right by for a full-length comic of that era, but it's fun, and I thought Larry Hama did a brilliant job with it. Just a lot of fun. It had the sorcery, it had the monsters, it had the maidens, it had everything you want in a good Conan yarn, in my opinion. But, pardon me, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep it casual.